The night sky above Earth looked calm, but far away in the blackness of space something strange was moving. Silent shadows drifted across the stars, and then a massive shape appeared. Broken and burning, it was not a meteor, not a rock, but a ship. A ship so large that it looked like a floating city. Its hull was cracked, its engines on fire, and pieces of glowing metal fell off as it limped forward. This was not a human ship, it was alien, and it was dying. Every radar station on Earth saw it. Every telescope locked on it, and the world held its breath. Governments thought it was the beginning of an invasion, a war they had no chance of winning. Military leaders argued, scientists shouted in fear, and people prayed under the night sky. No one expected what came next. From the burning alien ship, a signal was sent, a message that repeated again and again. It was not in alien language, it was in English. Clear and sharp. Protect me and I will reveal what no human has ever seen. The message spread across every channel, every news feed, every secret frequency. At first, many thought it was fake, a trick, maybe even a trap to lure humans into lowering their guard. But the message kept coming, repeating without pause, like a cry for help from the stars. In a hidden command center deep under a mountain, human generals and politicians gathered. They listened to the voice, steady but tired, deep and commanding. It was the voice of an alien general. He spoke as if he carried power but also fear. He claimed that hunters were chasing him, hunters who would destroy not only him but anyone who gave him shelter. Yet he promised something no human could ignore, a secret that had never been revealed. The room went silent as his words echoed through the speakers. Was it worth the risk to help him, or would this be the end of humanity? The generals looked at each other, unsure. Then one man, a captain with sharp eyes, whispered, "If he is telling the truth, this could change everything." Meanwhile, the alien ship drifted closer to the atmosphere, glowing like a falling star. Flames spread across its body as it scraped against Earth's outer edge. If it crashed, it could wipe out a whole city. Satellites tracked it, missiles were prepared, and orders waited to be given. But just before disaster, the ship stabilized. Barely holding itself together, it stopped above the Pacific Ocean, shaking, trembling, but alive. The alien voice came again, stronger now. "I am General Kale of the Shurikai Legion. I command fleets across the stars. I have fought empires, I have conquered worlds, but now I am hunted, broken, and without shield. Protect me, and I will give you what your kind has never dreamed of. If you leave me to die, the hunters will come for you next, and your world will burn." The words struck like thunder in the command room. Humans had always wondered if they were alone. And now, not only did they have proof of alien life, but that alien was asking them for help. Some wanted to shoot him down, fearing a trap. Others wanted to capture him, to study his body and his ship. But a few voices said something different. What if he is telling the truth? What if the hunters are real? What if this is humanity's only chance to prepare? In the cities below, people looked up at the sky and saw the burning ship like a second moon. Children pointed in fear, parents pulled them inside, and news anchors spoke with shaking voices. The world had changed in a single night, and nothing would ever be the same. The general's final words repeated once more before the signal went silent. "Protect me, and I will reveal what no human has ever seen." For a long time, no one spoke. The Earth waited. The ship waited, the alien general waited, and in the silence one question echoed louder than all others. Would humanity dare to protect him? Or would fear lead them to destroy the greatest secret the stars had ever offered? The world was divided. Some leaders wanted to destroy the alien ship before it could become a threat. Others whispered about the promise of knowledge, power, and secrets hidden in the stars. After hours of argument, a decision was made. A small human strike team would go first. Not to attack, but to make contact. They would step into the unknown, risking everything to learn if the alien general was friend or foe. The strike team was led by Captain Elias Ward, a soldier with calm eyes and a reputation for impossible missions. He was chosen because he did not scare easily, and because he believed in looking at the bigger picture. Alongside him were 6 others, engineers, medics, and soldiers, all trained but all uneasy. Their orders were simple but dangerous. Board the damaged alien ship, find the general, and confirm if his message was true. If he lied, they were to escape at once. If he spoke truth, they were to bring him back alive. The transport ship launched silently from a hidden base on the Pacific coast. It rose into the night sky, leaving behind a trail of fire. The crew sat in silence as the alien vessel grew larger in their view. The closer they came, the more they saw the damage. Hull plates torn like paper, wires sparking, smoke drifting into the void. It looked less like a warship and more like a dying beast, wounded but dangerous, when their craft latched onto the alien hull. The humans held their breath. The airlock hissed open, revealing a dark corridor filled with smoke and glowing symbols. The symbols pulsed faintly, alive as if the walls themselves were breathing. The team moved carefully, weapons ready, lights cutting through the haze. Every sound echoed too loud, every shadow felt alive. They had trained for battle, but nothing could prepare them for walking inside an alien ship. At the heart of the corridor, a massive door waited, carved with strange patterns. The captain reached out, and to his surprise, the door slid open by itself. A tall figure stood in the chamber beyond. He was armored, his body scarred, his skin a strange silver gray, glowing faintly in the dim light. His eyes were sharp and golden, burning with both pride and desperation. This was General Kale, the alien who had spoken across Earth. The humans froze, staring at him. He did not raise a weapon. He did not move to attack. Instead, he dropped to one knee, his voice deep and steady. "You heard my call, you came, and now I give you my oath, protect me, and I will give you what no human has ever seen." His words filled the chamber like thunder. The humans exchanged nervous glances. They had expected a trick, a trap, maybe even violence. Instead, the most feared alien they had ever seen was kneeling before them. The captain lowered his weapon but kept his guard. "Why us, why Earth, why should we believe you?" he asked. His voice steady, General Kale lifted his head, and for a moment, the pride of a warrior flashed in his eyes. "I chose you because you are unknown to the Empire. Your world is hidden, overlooked. They see you as weak, unworthy. But I see something else. I see defiance. I see strength you do not yet understand. If you protect me, I will show you truths that will break your chains before they are ever placed upon you." The words carried weight, but also mystery. The captain studied him carefully, looking for deception, but Kale's body told its own story. Wounds that had not healed, burns across his armor, exhaustion in every movement. If this was a trap, it was a costly one. The alien looked like a warrior at the end of his strength, not a conqueror ready to deceive. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. The walls groaned, sparks rained down, and alarms blared in a language no human could read. Kale rose quickly, his golden eyes burning brighter. "They have found me, the hunters. They will not stop. If they reach this ship, they will burn your skies and salt your ground. Decide now. Will you protect me, or will you fall with me?" The humans felt the weight of his words. This was no longer a question of curiosity. It was survival. If hunters were truly coming, Earth itself could become the battlefield. The captain made his choice. He reached for his communicator and gave the order. "Command, we are bringing him in. Prepare for immediate extraction." Kyle stood tall again, though pain flickered across his features. He looked at the humans not as weak creatures, but as partners. "You have chosen. Then you will see what no human has ever seen," he said, his voice steady. Behind him, the walls cracked, and distant explosions echoed through the ship. The hunters were coming fast, and humanity had just taken its first step into a war it did not yet understand. The human strike team rushed back through the burning corridors of the alien ship. Behind them, General Kale followed, his tall frame moving with surprising speed despite his wounds. The ship shook again, throwing sparks across the walls, as if the vessel itself was crying out in pain. Far away in the void of space, shadows moved, ships fast and sharp, approaching with deadly intent. From the outside, the human transport detached and pulled away. Engines roared, metal groaned, and the crew could feel the weight of danger pressing down. Through the small viewing windows, they saw the hunters for the first time. They were not like Kale, not armored warriors with scars of honor. They were sleek, insect-like machines of war. Cold and merciless, their ships glowed red at the edges, like blades pulled from fire, and they were coming straight for Earth inside the transport. The humans strapped in while Kale stood tall in the middle. His eyes glowed faintly, watching the hunters in silence. The captain turned to him, voice sharp. "Who are they? What do they want?" Kale did not look away from the window. "They are called the Dreth. They are the Empire's hounds. They do not ask questions. They do not speak. They hunt, they kill. They burn until nothing remains. They want me dead, and they will kill your world to get to me." The crew fell silent, the words heavy like iron. The transport shook violently as a beam of red light shot past them. Missing by only meters, the pilot cursed, pulling hard on the controls, weaving through debris floating in orbit. The Dreth were faster, sharper, and unrelenting. Every second they closed the distance, every second Earth came closer to danger. Kale placed one clawed hand on the wall of the human ship. Strange symbols lit up faintly under his touch. Surprising the humans, I gave you my oath, he said. Now I give you warning, if I fall into their hands, they will learn everything about me, and through me they will learn about you. They will come in greater numbers. They will see your world as prey. But if I live, you may yet rise. The captain clenched his jaw. He did not know if Kale could be trusted, but he knew one thing for certain. The hunters would not stop. The human ship dived into an asteroid belt, rocks spinning and colliding around them. The Dreth followed without hesitation, their red beams slicing through stone, turning giant rocks into dust. The crew held on tight, alarms blaring, warning lights flashing. The pilot weaved through the chaos, the ship scraping past jagged surfaces. One Dreth fighter slammed into a boulder and exploded, but 3 more took its place. They never stop, Kale said coldly. They do not fear death. They are not alive in the way you understand. The humans felt a chill at his words. Were these hunters machines, slaves, or something worse? The ship jolted hard as another blast struck their side, throwing sparks across the cockpit. Shields at 30%, the engineer shouted. Another blast came, then another. The hunters were closing in. Command, this is Strike Team Alpha. We have the package, but we are under pursuit, requesting immediate support. The captain shouted into the comm. The reply crackled back, faint but clear. Alpha, we hear you. Reinforcements inbound, hold them off, whatever you do. Don't let them near Earth. The crew's hearts pounded. But Kale's expression remained calm, almost defiant. He reached into his armor and pulled out a small device, no larger than a human hand. It glowed blue, shifting like liquid metal. He pressed it against the wall of the ship, and instantly the transport system surged with new power. Engines roared louder, shields strengthened. Lights blazed brighter. What did you just do? The captain demanded. I gave you a fraction of my technology. Use it wisely, it will not last long. But it will keep you alive, Kyle answered, his voice sharp but steady. The pilot grinned as the ship surged forward, weaving through the last of the asteroid field with new speed. The Dreth struggled to keep up, their sleek ships hissing with red light. But even boosted, the humans knew this chase was not over. The enemy was too many, too relentless, too determined. As Earth came into view below them, glowing blue and green against the black, the captain felt a weight in his chest. If they failed, this world would be next. Kale placed his hand on the captain's shoulder, his voice low but heavy with meaning. You fight with courage, but courage alone will not save you. Protect me, and I will give you the truth. I will give you the weapon that can end this. Before the captain could answer, a massive shadow filled the stars. The largest Dreth ship yet had arrived, its body like a blade cutting across the void. It dwarfed the transport, its weapons glowing with deadly fire. The chase was not ending. It was only beginning. The human transport shook as the massive Dreth warship blocked their path. Its dark hull stretched across the stars, covered with glowing red lines that pulsed like veins. Weapons flared to life, each blast powerful enough to tear the human ship apart in seconds. Inside the transport, alarms screamed, lights flickered, and the crew prepared for the worst. Then, just as the first beam of death shot forward, another human vessel appeared. It was a heavy cruiser hidden until now, launching a rain of missiles into the Dreth ship's flank. The blasts lit up the void, forcing the hunters to turn their attention away for a brief moment. Alpha, this is Guardian Command, a voice crackled over the comm. We've got your back, bring him home. The transport engines roared as the pilot pushed the ship forward, darting past the chaos while the cruiser bought them precious time. Minutes later, they broke through the atmosphere, the blue sky of Earth swallowing them in fire. The transport rattled, flames licking across its wings, until finally it touched down on a hidden runway deep in the desert. Soldiers surrounded the craft instantly, weapons raised, vehicles rushing forward to secure the landing zone. General Kale stood tall as the hatch opened, golden eyes watching the humans carefully. He did not flinch at the sight of weapons pointed at him, nor did he resist when he was escorted into a secure underground base. The base was carved into stone, a maze of metal corridors and blast doors. Every corner was watched by cameras, every hall filled with guards. The humans did not fully trust him, and Kale knew it, but he said nothing. Instead, he waited until he was taken to a sealed chamber, where generals, scientists, and politicians had gathered. The air was thick with suspicion. Some whispered that he should be locked away forever. Others argued that killing him would end the threat before it began. But a few, eyes sharp and voices steady, believed that Kale carried something too important to ignore. The captain who had led the strike team stood by silently, watching both sides, waiting. Finally, Kale stepped forward, his deep voice cutting through the noise. "You doubt me, you fear me, you see me as danger. But danger is already here if you destroy me. You will only blind yourselves to the truth if you protect me. I will show you a path that no human has ever seen." The room fell silent. Every ear straining for his words, Kale raised one clawed hand and touched a small device on his chest. A projection lit the chamber, a vast map of stars stretching across the air. Worlds glowed, some bright and free, most darkened and chained under the symbol of a red crown. "This is the Empire," Kale said, his voice heavy. "They rule by fear, by fire, by silence. They enslave or they destroy. And the Dreth you fought are only their hounds. They are not the Empire itself. They are only its teeth." The humans stared in shock. The scale of it far beyond imagination. Billions of stars, thousands of worlds, and humanity had not even left its own solar system. A general leaned forward, voice tight. "And what do you offer us?" Kale's golden eyes burned brighter. "I offer you the one thing the Empire fears. I offer you the key to their greatest weapon, a weapon older than the Empire, a weapon so powerful it can erase entire fleets, entire star systems." The humans exchanged uneasy glances. A scientist whispered, "If such a weapon exists, why don't you use it yourself?" Kale lowered his head slightly, scars catching the light. "Because it was not built for me. It was not built for my kind, it was built for yours." The room froze, his words like a blade cutting through the air. The captain stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean built for us?" Kale's voice dropped lower, almost like a growl. "Your species carries something no other race does. A resistance, a spark the Empire cannot understand. They fear it, they hide it, they erase worlds that show even a hint of it. And now they will come for you because you have me." Shock rippled through the chamber. The generals muttered, the scientists scribbled furiously, and the politicians whispered nervously among themselves. The captain felt a chill down his spine. Was humanity truly special? Or was this only another layer of the aliens' game? Before anyone could ask more, alarms blared through the base. Screens lit up with red warnings, satellites showing dozens of Dreth ships entering the system. The hunters had found Earth, and they were coming fast. Kale looked at the humans with sharp, steady eyes. "I told you they would not stop. If you choose to protect me, then protect me now. Stand with me or fall with me, the decision is yours." The chamber filled with chaos. Orders shouted, soldiers running, alarms howling like sirens of doom. The humans were forced to act, but the question hung heavy over them. Was Kale telling the truth, or leading them into their own destruction? And somewhere deep inside, the captain knew the worst truth of all. They were already too far to turn back. The underground base shook as alarms blared through every corridor. Soldiers rushed to their posts, scientists scrambled to protect their data, and commanders shouted orders through the chaos. On the big screens, Dreth ships filled the edge of Earth's orbit, their red lights glowing like a swarm of burning eyes. The invasion had begun, and there was no time left to doubt. General Kale stood in the command chamber, tall and calm even as panic surrounded him. His golden eyes scanned the screens with sharp focus, reading every movement of the Dreth fleet. "They do not come to test you," he said in a heavy voice. "They come to erase you, to salt your world so nothing will rise again. You cannot reason with them, you cannot bribe them. You can only fight." Some generals agreed, their faces set with grim resolve. Others shouted back that Kale himself was the reason Earth was in danger. "If we hand him over, maybe they'll leave us alone," one politician cried. Kyle's gaze burned through him, his voice low and steady. "If you give me to them, they will kill me, yes. But they will kill you as well. They do not leave witnesses. They do not leave survivors." Before the argument could continue, the lights flickered, the hum of the bass dimmed, and for a moment the screens went dark. "Power systems compromised," an engineer shouted. "Someone is cutting through our defenses from the inside." The captain's eyes narrowed, his hand tightening on his weapon. "There's a traitor here," he said, his voice like steel. The suspicion was like fire in the room. No one trusted anyone, every glance sharp, every silence heavy. Then a soldier at the far end of the chamber pulled his rifle, aiming it not at Cale but at the humans beside him. Shots rang out, sparks flew, and chaos erupted. The betrayer shouted in a strange language before he was cut down, his human form flickering and breaking apart. What lay on the ground was no soldier at all, but a Dreth infiltrator disguised in stolen skin. The base erupted in fury, soldiers racing to secure the halls as more infiltrators revealed themselves. They had been inside for days, waiting, hiding, striking at the perfect moment. Gunfire echoed through the underground tunnels. Explosions shook the walls and smoke filled the air. The humans fought desperately, but they were unprepared for enemies already inside their defenses. In the middle of the chaos, Cale roared, tearing a weapon from a fallen infiltrator. His strength was terrifying, his movements brutal and precise. He fought not like prey but like a predator, cutting through Dreth agents with claws and blasts of alien energy. For the first time, the humans saw the full power of the alien general unleashed. He did not fight for survival, he fought for victory. And the ground trembled beneath his wrath. The captain stayed close, leading his squad through fire and smoke. Every step was a struggle, every hallway a battlefield. "Secure the control room," he shouted. "We can't lose this base." They pushed forward, Cale at their side, his golden eyes glowing brighter with every strike. Blood and sparks painted the walls, the screams of dying infiltrators mixing with the thunder of weapons. Finally, they reached the core chamber where the power systems had been cut. Dozens of Dreth infiltrators held the room, their weapons blazing. It seemed hopeless, until Cale stepped forward, his voice roared like a storm, and his body glowed with energy. With a single strike of his clawed hand, he sent a wave of force that crushed half the enemy where they stood. The rest turned in fear, but were gunned down by the humans charging behind him. When the smoke cleared, the chamber was secure, but the cost was heavy. Bodies of humans and infiltrators lay across the floor. The survivors stood shaking, bloodied but alive. Cale lowered his head slightly, his voice quieter now. "You see now, they will not stop. They will come again and again until you fall or until you rise. You must choose what you will be." The captain wiped blood from his face. His eyes locked on Cale. He had doubted the alien, but after watching him fight, he could no longer deny his loyalty. Cale had stood beside them, had shed blood beside them, and still, he spoke not with arrogance but with warning. Then the screens lit up again, showing the Dreth fleet pushing closer to Earth's atmosphere. Hundreds of red ships burning like fire across the sky. The defenders had little time left. Cale turned toward the humans, his voice steady but fierce. "The secret I carry is not only knowledge, it is power. It is the one weapon that can break the Empire. If you wish to live, then stand with me now, or your world will become ash." The humans stood in silence, hearts pounding, faces pale. They had survived betrayal, they had survived battle, but the true war was only beginning, and deep in their bones they knew Cale was right. If they did not fight with him, they would die without him. The underground base smelled of smoke and metal. The battle with the infiltrators had ended, but the air was still thick with fear. Soldiers dragged wounded comrades through the halls. Engineers worked to bring systems back online, and commanders argued over the next move. Above them, the Dreth fleet grew closer, their red lights painting the sky like a storm of fire. In the command chamber, General Cale stood tall, his armor cracked and burned but his voice steady. "You have seen the strength of the Empire's hounds, but you have not yet seen the truth of why they fear you," he said, his golden eyes glowing faintly. The humans turned to him, some with suspicion, others with desperate hope. The captain crossed his arms, his voice sharp but calm. "Then tell us, no more riddles. No more half-truths. What are you hiding? Why us? Why Earth?" Cale raised his clawed hand and activated the small device he carried. The chamber filled again with the star map, billions of points of light stretching across the darkness. But this time he showed them something different. A hidden layer of the map glowed faintly, clusters of worlds marked in blue instead of red. "These are not worlds conquered by the Empire," Cale said, his voice low. "These are worlds erased by them." The room went cold. The blue marks were scattered, tiny sparks against the sea of darkness, but there were so many. Each of these worlds carried something the Empire fears. Not weapons, not fleets, but something inside their people. Kale continued. They called it the spark, the flame, resistance to the mind bond of the Empire. When the Empire commands, most obey, they bow. They break, they serve, but some resist, some defy. And the Empire fears that most of all. The captain's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a whisper. You mean us? Kale turned, his golden gaze locking onto him. Yes, humanity, your kind has the spark. The Empire has watched you from afar, keeping you hidden, waiting until you were ready to step into the stars. And when you did, they planned to erase you. Just as they erased the others, the generals muttered in shock. The scientists scribbled notes with trembling hands. The politicians argued in whispers, some still doubting, some terrified. But Kale continued, his voice growing sharper. I was part of them once. I fought for the Empire, I believed their lies. I burned worlds for their crown until I saw the truth. Until I saw what they feared, I defected, I ran. I swore I would not let another world fall. For the first time, there was pain in his eyes, a weight carried too long. I found records of the weapon, he said. A weapon built long before the Empire, a creation of those who first resisted. They designed it not for themselves, but for a species yet to come, a species untouched by the Empire's control, a species with the spark. That species is you. The chamber was silent, the weight of his words pressing down like stone. The captain stepped forward, his voice steady. Where is it, this weapon, if it can save us? Tell us where it is. Kyle lowered his head slightly. I cannot give it to you yet. It is hidden, locked within the archive of Orath, guarded by fleets buried in shadows, but only humans can open it. Only your kind can claim it. A general slammed his fist against the table, his voice sharp. How do we know this isn't a lie? How do we know you aren't leading us into a trap? Kyle's golden eyes burned brighter. Because if I wished to see you fall, I would have let the Dreth burn you already. I would not fight beside you, bleed beside you, risk all to protect you. The Empire fears me because I chose you, because I believe you are the key. The captain looked around the chamber, seeing fear in every face. Some wanted to believe, some still doubted, but all knew the hunters above were real. Earth did not have the strength to fight them alone. If Kale spoke truth, the weapon was their only chance. If he lied, they were doomed either way. Suddenly, the alarms screamed again, louder than before. Screens showed the Dreth fleet breaking through Earth's outer defenses, burning satellites, crushing stations, drawing closer with every passing second. Soldiers scrambled, commanders shouted. Chaos spread once more. Kale turned, his voice sharp and commanding. You have little time left. Decide now, protect me, and I will lead you to the archive. I will give you the weapon, and together we will strike at the heart of the Empire. Refuse, and your world will burn before the sun rises again. The captain felt the weight of the choice pressing down on his chest. It was not only about survival, it was about destiny. Was humanity truly the spark that could break the Empire, or just another world waiting to be erased? He looked into Kale's golden eyes, searching for doubt, searching for lies, but all he saw was fire. All he heard was truth spoken with the weight of blood and sacrifice. The room filled with silence. Heavy and final, then the captain spoke. His voice clear. We protect him, we stand with him. If this is humanity's fate, then we take it, we will fight. Kyle bowed his head slightly, his voice a whisper but filled with pride. Then you have chosen. And now the hidden truth will become your burden. Above them, the first Dreth ships broke into the skies of Earth, fire streaking across the heavens. And humanity stood on the edge of war unlike anything they had ever known. The sky above Earth burned red. Dreth warships cut through the clouds like blades, their engines screaming across the atmosphere. Cities trembled as fire rained down. Satellites fell from orbit, and the night turned into a storm of light. Humanity had never faced such an enemy. And for the first time, the world felt the weight of the stars pressing down. In the underground base, the command chamber roared with orders and alarms. Generals shouted, pilots launched, soldiers raced to their stations. The Dreth were here, and there was no time left for doubt. General Kale stood in the middle of the chaos, his tall form like a pillar of fire. His golden eyes burned brighter than ever, his voice sharp and commanding. Stand now, fight now, or be erased from the stars forever. The captain led his strike team back to the surface, their armor scorched, their faces grim but determined. They had fought alongside Kale, they had seen his strength, and now they would stand with him until the end. Above them, human fighter jets screamed into the sky, unleashing missiles at the descending Dreth. Explosions lit the heavens, but for every hunter destroyed, 3 more appeared. It was not a battle of equals. It was survival against an endless storm. The first Dreth ships broke through the defense lines, firing beams that cut across the desert. Sand turned to glass, bunkers crumbled, soldiers screamed. Kyle raised his hand, releasing bursts of alien energy that tore through the enemy. Each strike shook the ground, each blow carrying the fury of a warrior who had lost too much. The humans around him fought harder, emboldened by his defiance. Side by side, alien and human stood as one in the command chamber. The screens flickered with desperate reports. "Western defense grid down," one officer cried. "Eastern fleet overwhelmed," another shouted. The world was collapsing, but then Kale's voice boomed through the comms. "Hold, I have called them, I have lit the fire, and soon the Empire will learn that fear spreads faster than chains." The humans did not understand, but the captain trusted him. He fought through smoke and fire, leading his squad into the ruins of the battlefield. Every step was a struggle, every breath filled with dust and ash, yet still they pushed forward. Holding the line, refusing to break. Above, the largest Dreth ship descended, its shadow swallowing the desert below. Its weapons glowed brighter than suns, preparing to unleash a blast that could end everything. Kale turned, his voice heavy but filled with fire. "This is their flagship, their blade. If we cut it down, the swarm will falter." The captain's heart pounded, his voice steady. "Then we take it down, whatever it costs." The humans rallied, launching everything they had at the descending monster. Jets, tanks, missiles, all firing in unison. The ground shook with fury, the air burned with fire, but the Dreth ship endured, its dark hull absorbing the storm. Kale roared, his body glowing with searing light. He leapt into the air, landing atop a shattered tower. Raising his weapon high, alien energy surged around him. Swirling like a storm of gold, he aimed at the flagship and unleashed a strike so bright it split the clouds. The blast tore through the enemy hull, cutting deep into its core for a moment. The massive ship faltered, its red glow flickering, and the humans seized the chance. Striking again and again, the flagship screamed as it fell, crashing into the desert with a roar like the end of the world. The shockwave blasted across the battlefield, throwing sand and fire high into the sky. For a heartbeat, silence followed, the swarm breaking formation. The hunters wavered, their rhythm shattered. And then, from the stars above, signals began to echo. Kale looked up, his golden eyes burning brighter. "They are rising," he whispered. "The enslaved, the broken, the silent worlds, they have seen the flame. They will not kneel any longer." Across the comms, strange voices spoke, alien tongues joining in defiance. The signal Kale had sent reached far, calling to those who had long lived in chains. The galaxy had heard, and for the first time, the Empire's shadow trembled. The humans stood bloodied, battered, but alive. The desert around them was scarred, the sky above them broken, but Earth had not fallen. Earth had stood. Kale stepped forward, his tall frame scarred but unbowed. He turned to the captain, his voice steady. "You fought with courage, you fought with fire. You are the spark I promised. The Empire will return greater and stronger, but now the stars know you are here and I will protect you, as you have protected me." The captain stared back. His armor cracked, his face streaked with dust and blood. He nodded once, his voice low but steady. "Then we'll be ready, whatever comes." "We'll be ready." Kale raised his head, looking at the burning sky. His final words carried through the smoke, through the silence, through the hearts of all who heard. "Protect me still, and I will show you what no human has ever seen." And with that vow, humanity's place in the galaxy began. Not as prey, not as slaves, but as warriors who had chosen to fight,